So
So
so let's talk a little bit about Final Fantasy. So do you play Final Fantasy at all?
I used to play Final Fantasy Online a lot.
Yeah.
To the point where like I had my own house on the beach, which was an absolute nightmare to get. I had to log in at like I don't know, like 5 in the morning or something, absolutely crazy, just to get this one plot that
Right.
was right on the beach and that everyone wanted. And we actually got it, which was really cool. And we all had like about maybe four of us playing it
Yeah.
together.
Okay.
We each had our own bedroom in this little like beach house, and yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, I played that for a long time. I got burnt out with WoW for a little bit, so I swapped over to Final Fantasy and
Hmm.
then just fell in love with it. But now I've switched back, so I don't really play it that much.
Yeah.
I think Final Fantasy is great though. I love the character customization on it.
Mm.
You're very limited in some MMOs like Warcraft, for example, even though they have just added new customization features in. But Final Fantasy, you can have like your ears, your tails. You can just change the face structure,
Yeah.
everything about the character. You can just change.
It's pretty wild, isn't it? I mean, I've just gotten into MMOs just recently. As you know, we've been having a back and forth on Twitter. And I was really enjoying Warcraft because I was playing on my Mac. I didn't even know I had a Mac version. I thought it was only PC for the longest time, for like 15 years. And I just discovered the Mac version, and it runs so well on my iMac. I thought, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have ever sampled this now because I can see the addiction. And I'm this giant kung fu panda type of character, which I absolutely adore. But I'm not used to playing on a mouse and keyboard, so I'm getting arthritis, I think, in my hands. So maybe the claw isn't quite what I want to go for. So I checked out Final Fantasy 14 just this week because I first tried this originally when it was A Realm Reborn, when it launched on the PlayStation 4. And I bounced pretty quickly after that. It didn't click for me at all. And I think back then it wasn't really in the best of states at all. It was like massive improvements over where it originally was, but it wasn't quite, the Final Fantasy 14 coveted MMO that it is today. So they have a sale on right now. So I got the complete edition for like 50% off, which has all of the main expansion packs like Shadowbringer, Heaven's Ward, and a couple others as well. And this got announced, Endwalker, and I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to give it a good shout. I'm going to jump in, and so I created a couple of characters, and I think I really like it. Actually, it's so overwhelming though. Like for a console MMO, like there's so many menus, and it's so dense with like trying to explain all of the systems and what you need to do and how everything works, and it is that initial impression of just like screen clutter. You think, oh my god, there's like names everywhere, there's menus everywhere. I can't just like step back and see the game. But once I got my head around it and I started investing a couple of hours, I thought actually this is kind of cool, and I want to play more. And so I think I'm going to stick with it because I want to get through at least the main stories, which I've heard are phenomenal, like really good. And then of course this one's coming out later on this year, so I'm excited to see if it does really click with me and I become like this MMO hound and then I lose
I
all my life to it.
I totally agree with the whole when you it is a bit different on console as well on PC because I tried it on PS4 first and just didn't really like it on the
Mm,
console, and tried it on PC and it was a bit better.
yeah.
But I did feel a bit overwhelmed. Um, but again, I sort of compare all MMOs to WoW now because I'm so used to that.
Yeah.
So when I jumped onto Final Fantasy, it was like there was things everywhere. All the buttons, like I wasn't inventory, for example. Don't quote me on that. But like I like all the keybinds and stuff were like completely wrong, and yeah, it was very weird trying to adjust to it.
Yeah.
Um, but it is coming out on PlayStation 5 at some point. I think the beta version is April 13th this year,
Ah,
I think.
okay. Okay.
So I'm curious to try it on PlayStation 5 again just to see if there's like, any improvements, any difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with the whole like you log in and you're just like overwhelmed by just everything on the screen. It's a lot.
Yeah, it totally is, especially if you're not used to MMOs, really.
Yeah.
Because I streamed it for the first time earlier this week, and my initial impression was, okay, they've taken the PC version, the PC interface, and they've tried to just port it directly to a controller, and it just doesn't work. It's really like obtuse and cumbersome, and it would have been. I would have preferred had they completely overhauled the UI to work more conducive to a controller and to a console audience. But it just seems like, you've got all of these windows that pop up, and you have to kind of use the D-pad to kind of scroll around them, and it's not the best experience. But once you kind of get your head around, okay, tapping the touchpad brings up the map, and then you can like circle to cancel out, or keep touching the touchpad to scroll through your different menus and stuff. It's a hard learning curve, but you do get used to it, and then it becomes, I wouldn't say quite second nature, but it's not as intense and off-putting as that initial like hit of, oh my god, what do I do with all of these menus here? Like, how do I navigate this stuff? So in a weird sort of way, I'm always usually against the any console version of a game having a cursor pointer. Like in Destiny has a cursor pointer, Assassin's Creed now has a cursor pointer. Like, those games don't need it, and I'm usually quite anti cursor pointers. But I think for an MMO on console, it really needs a cursor pointer or something to navigate it.
It reminds me of The Sims 4. When I tried The Sims 4 on PC, it's fine. When I tried it on the PlayStation 4, it felt like they had just grabbed it and just ported it over, and it was horrible. Trying to move on the console to like select different parts. And when you're creating a character, you choose like individual parts of them. With a mouse perfect, you can just,
Yeah.
But it was so stressful on the PS4, and I gave up playing it on the PS4. I just couldn't bear it anymore.
Yeah.
I totally agree with the whole, I can't imagine playing Warcraft on a controller. Or
no.
Destiny
totally.
is okay. I don't mind Destiny with a controller, but I find the mouse a lot easier.
Yeah.
Same with Overwatch. I can't play Overwatch with a controller. Like, it's got to be mouse. So I kind of get it. Overwatch is a bit different because it's made for both anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with that. Final Fantasy just did not work for me on console at all. Just the endless scrolling, and I don't know, when you can just click a key and it brings the map up instead of like touching D-pad and then scrolling through.
Yeah. I have heard that somebody mentioned it to me on the chat that the PS4 is compatible with mouse and keyboard, so you can apparently you can play Final Fantasy 14 with a mouse and keyboard on your PlayStation, which is interesting. So I might try that and just see what it's like. But I know there's something cool about just having a controller and playing an MMO like that. But I mean, it's as you said, I can't imagine World of Warcraft on a controller. There's no way that could ever happen or work. I just don't believe it. And a lot of that has become, again, as you said, just being able to whip the mouse around on different menus very, very quickly to navigate your inventory, to like do different quest assignments, your hotkeys or whatever. It makes me now realize, okay, why MMOs aren't usually the best experience for console.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, I should say. Like, console isn't the best experience for an MMO. But I applaud them for continually supporting it on the PlayStation 4. And it's great to see MMOs coming to console. I would like to see more, but they're difficult. They're really, really difficult.
Do you know what's weird, actually? Have you ever played Diablo or Diablo 3 or anything?
Big fan of Diablo 3, actually, yeah.
PC or console?
Console is the only one I've ever played it on.
I prefer it on my Switch than I do on the PC.
Switch is so good for Diablo 3. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so smooth.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just can't. I still play it on PC. I'm like sort of adjusting to it, but on the Switch, it's just like, it just feels so nice. Like, if you pick up an item, pad select and it puts it on for you.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. And the inventory is just like right there. Boom. It's got everything on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like it feels so nice as well. If you've got like a demon hunter, and you pull the trigger, you just sit back and just pull the trigger, and it just shoots, and it just feels so good.
I think
I was a bit shocked.
That stems from because the core gameplay loop is so fun and so smooth, and as you say, it's you press and hold the button and you're continually attacking, or I think it's a trigger and then a face button to do like one of your special moves, which would normally be a hotkey move on your keyboard. That has been adapted just really, really well. And my first experience was on PlayStation 4 for that, and it was it the Reaper? When they kind of when they repackaged it and re-released it, and I thought, my God, this is so good. It's like the action RPG Diablo. I absolutely adore it. And then I thought, oh, they're actually bringing this to Switch? No way, come on. It's like it could barely run on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. It was terrible. And then they bring it to Switch, and they did an incredible port job where it's just rock solid frame rate, and it's just perfect. Pick up and go, do a dungeon, whether you're playing a handheld or docked, is just brilliant. Brilliant, good fun. I've always wanted to play it co-op. I've never played it co-op. That's the thing. It's like I need more Diablo friends that that I can jump on and we can go adventuring together and do some dungeon crawling and stuff.
We can do that. I am up for Diablo co-op anytime.
Awesome.
It's so fun. So good. Especially with seasonal characters. So good.